Assalamu alaikum. Peace be with you. I'm your brother in faith, Shabir Ally, saying to you, peace be with you. Assalamu alaikum. And let me say in advance from Muslim Media Hub, Ramadan Mubarak. This Ramadan, we are dealing with faith and doubt, 30 big questions regarding belief. Today, I want to start off by looking at one of the biggest questions. How do we know that God exists? Now, we believe that God exists, and some argue that the belief that God exists is actually intrinsic to us. We just know that God exists, and we don't need any proof or any argument or any explanation further than that. God created us, and He created in us that sense that he exists. But some of our atheist friends and other doubters and skeptics may be asking us, okay, give me a good reason for believing that God exists. Prove to me that God exists. We're not going to be able to prove it the same way that I proved that I'm sitting on this chair, but we can advance good arguments to show that, yeah, logically, reasonably, there is a God. One such good argument is that the world, the whole universe, must have had a creator. And if somebody may say at this point, that creator too would have had to have a creator. We can say, okay, let's follow your line of thought, your train of reasoning. And so that creator would have a creator who would have a creator who would have a creator. But unless you arrive at a creator who himself is not created, who does not have a creator, then you could not have the whole series of creators who will end up with creating this world. So there must be a first cause, the cause of all other causes that resulted in the creation of this world. And that first cause, that is the one that we're calling God. So he must exist. So logically, reasonably, we arrive there at the idea that there is a first cause, that which we are calling God. We can advance a second argument. We can say that not only are things apparently created, but things are apparently designed. Look at the design of everything around us. Now, some biologists and so on will say, well, the theory of evolution explains design because they're gradual incremental changes over time resulting in what appears to be designed, but it wasn't designed. It's just like, from a blind watchmaker or something like this. But we know now that at the very fundamental level in our universe, there are what scientists call constants, like gravity, that happen to be precisely the measure they have to be. Otherwise, our universe would not exist. If gravity was any stronger than it is, even to a hair's breadth in difference, then the universe would collapse on itself. It wouldn't expand to form galaxies and stars and planets like our Earth, and we would not exist. If it was any weaker than it is, again, even by a hair's breadth, then what would happen is that the universe would expand and continue expanding, fizzing out, so that the stars and the planets would not form and we would not be here in either case. For it to be precisely the measure that it is, it seems that there was a grand mathematician who worked out the numbers in advance and made gravity to be precisely as it is, and we are here as a result of that. And that is a second argument for the existence of God. It shows that there must be a designer. Not only must there have been a first cause creator, but there must have also been a designer. And of course, we don't want two different entities here. The one is sufficient for both. Third, we can say that we have a sense that certain things are right and certain things are wrong. It's not only that, some things are good for business and some things are bad for business. Some things are good for survival, some things are bad for survival. No, beyond that, we say that some things are just purely good, some things are just purely evil. So where do we get this idea from, that there is a pure good and there is a pure evil? Regardless, even if something is bad for business, but we just bear the consequences, we bear the losses because we know we don't want to do the wrong thing, because something in us tells us, no, we got to do what is right. Where does that sense come from, that we must do what is right, even if it's to our disadvantage, even if it will not help in our survival, even if it may cause our personal distress and even destruction, but we know we have to do the right thing. So in this case, we might see somebody risking their lives to save somebody else. So this is not survival of the fittest. This is, in a way, survival of the weaker person who is defended by and protected protected by the one who is stronger. Where does this sense come from? It doesn't seem to come from the process of evolution, because that would have programmed us for the fittest to survive. But rather, it seems that this comes from God, who is the source of all goodness and who equipped us with that sense and made us the good persons that we are by his good graces, and we thank him for that. So we have here three good arguments. One, that there must be a creator, a first cause. Two, that first cause must be a grand designer who designed everything the way they are. And three, that grand designer also designed us to have a good moral sense to differentiate between good and bad, right and wrong, pure good and pure evil. Fourthly, and we cap with this, the Quran itself is an argument for the existence of God. Why? Because the Quran is a book, as we will demonstrate later, such that it could not have been written by or composed by the human beings who had anything to do with it over its 1400-year history. Rather, the Quran bears signs that this book is a revelation from the Almighty God. So what does that mean? It means that God exists. But we'll come to that in more detail in a later segment. For now, we have four good arguments to show that there is a God. There must have been a first cause, who is a grand designer, who equipped us with the sense of good and evil to differentiate between the two. And he revealed a book of guidance to us, the Quran, which itself is a proof that God exists, because this could not have been authored by a human being or group of human beings who lived some 1400 years ago. Tomorrow, we'll continue to look at our 30 big questions. The next question is, how can we believe in God when we do not see him? We leave that for tomorrow. But in the meantime, please visit our website, muslimmediahub.com. That's where you can find out more about what we do, and you can lend us your support for the pleasure of God. Your contributions are zakat eligible and tax deductible. So this Ramadan, don't miss the opportunity to support such a worthy cause through which we are able to continue spreading the truth and sharing the message with the world altogether. I'm your brother in faith, Shabir Ally, saying peace be with you from Muslim Media Hub, and in advance, Ramadan Mubarak.
Islam teaches us to spread goodness and truth, and media is one of the most powerful ways to do that. Support Muslim Media Hub to help spread the message of Islam across the world. Visit muslimmediahub.com.